Ever blinked and realized a whole decade just flew by? Or looked around one day and noticed that the people you thought would always be there aren't? And then comes that quiet question. Have I really lived these years the way I wanted to? You know, one of the most brutally honest truths I've ever heard, and I didn't really get it until I was older, is this. Time waits for no one. It keeps moving, whether you're ready or not, whether you're paying attention or completely distracted. When you're young, you feel like you have forever. Days feel long, and the future seems like this faraway land that's just waiting. But here's what no one really tells you when you're just getting started. Life starts speeding up the moment you stop paying attention. One blink, and high school is just a blurry memory. Blink again, and suddenly you're in your 30s wondering, how did I even get here? You look around and realize some of the people you thought would always be part of your life, they're gone. And that's when the questions hit. Did I say what I needed to say? Did I do the things I wanted to do? Or did I just keep putting them off, assuming I'd always have more time? There's this illusion we're all raised with, that someday we'll finally feel ready. Ready to leap, ready to change, ready to forgive, ready to chase that crazy dream we've tucked away. But the truth, if you're waiting for that perfect moment to arrive, you might be waiting forever, because no matter how old you are, that feeling of readiness doesn't magically show up. You might think older people walk around with this deep, calm confidence, like they've got life figured out. Let me tell you the truth. Most of us are still just trying to keep up, still uncertain, still wondering if we're doing it right. That's why time is such a tricky teacher. It moves fast, but teaches slow. Only when you look back do you realize what you missed. The little moments you were too distracted to enjoy. The days you spent angry, insecure, trying to be who others expected you to be. You see, so many of us were just one decision away from a completely different life. But we didn't take it because we thought we had time. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it to wake you up. Because the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves is, later. I'll call them later. I'll start that thing later. I'll slow down and enjoy life later. But later is not a guarantee. Later is a luxury. And eventually you run out of laters. One day you'll wake up and realize there's more behind you than ahead of you. And that's when the truth really hits. You don't get time back. I once sat with a man in his 90s, sharp as a tack, full of incredible stories. He looked at me and said something I'll never forget. You know what I wish someone had told me when I was 30? That life doesn't warn you when the best days are happening. They just come and go, and only later do you realize you were in them. That stuck with me, because it's so easy to miss the beauty of right now when you're constantly chasing something ahead. We live like we're in a race, sprinting towards some invisible finish line, when really, the moments that matter most are happening right in the middle of all that noise. So now the big question is, what do we do with that? How do we actually live? Really live? Knowing that time is short, precious, and never promised. You remember what we said before, that time doesn't wait, and the best moments often pass without warning. Well, what comes next is what we learn after we've missed them. Because wisdom, real wisdom, often sounds like this. I wish I had let myself be happy. I wish I had taken more risks. I wish I had spent more time with the people who mattered. It rarely sounds like, I wish I'd worked more overtime, or I'm so glad I waited until I felt completely ready. So if you're hearing this now, take it as a gentle but urgent wake-up call. Not the kind that sparks panic, but the kind a true friend gives when they grab your shoulders, look you in the eye and say, hey, don't miss this. Don't sleepwalk through your own life. Because here's the truth. You're not too young. You're not too late. You're not too broken. And no, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to begin. Even if it's messy, even if it's unsure, even if your first step feels shaky and uncomfortable. Because every journey, no matter how meaningful or massive, starts with one small, unsteady, uncertain step, and then comes another truth, one that hurts in a quieter, deeper way as we get older. People leave. Sometimes it's gradual, a slow fade. Other times, it's instant, like a door slamming shut. And the hardest part, we rarely see it coming. You spend your early years thinking you'll always have more time, more conversations, more chances to make things right. But life doesn't. Send a calendar invite for the last time you'll see someone. It just happens, and you're left with whatever was said, or painfully left unsaid. I've talked to people well into their 80s and 90s who still remember, in vivid detail, the last words they spoke to someone they loved. Not because it was dramatic or profound, but because it was ordinary. Just a simple goodbye. Just a "see you later." That never came. And those words stay with them. Sometimes as a quiet comfort. Other times as a deep, lingering ache they carry for the rest of their lives. That's when you realize we waste so much time being stubborn. We hold on to grudges. We assume there will always be a chance to circle back. But when people leave, whether they pass, drift away, or quietly move on, it hits like a freight train. A sharp, painful reminder of how fast life can change and how little control we really have. And yet, we walk around like we're invincible, like the people we love are permanent fixtures, like there's always going to be another day to say the thing we've been holding in. But here's the hard truth: don't wait. Don't wait to say the thing that's weighing heavy on your heart. Don't wait to forgive someone, even if they don't deserve it, because their absence might leave a space nothing else can fill. And remember, it's not always about death. Sometimes life just pulls people in different directions. Old friends grow distant, family members fall out of rhythm, relationships quietly fade, and we get so caught up in our own chaos that we don't even notice the space growing, until one day it feels too wide to cross. We don't talk enough about that kind of grief, the slow, aching kind that comes from people who are still alive, but no longer here. And then comes the guilt. Guilt that we didn't call, that we let something small create so much distance, that we assumed we had time, and those regrets, they echo. I've had people tell me, I wish I had reached out more. I wish I hadn't let silence grow so loud between us. Those words, they stick. They become your own warning signs, if you're wise enough to listen. So right now, I want you to pause, just for a second. Think about someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe someone you love deeply, but haven't told lately. Maybe someone you need to forgive, or someone you need to simply say, hey, I miss you. Because sometimes one message, one brave, vulnerable reach can start to close a distance you didn't even realize was there. In the last part, we talked about the silence, the space that grows when words go unsaid. Now ask yourself this: what's really stopping you from reaching out? Maybe it's just someone you miss, someone who once mattered. So, what's in the way? Ego? Fear? The belief that they should be the one to message first? Let me tell you something real. Pride makes a lousy companion when you're sitting alone with only memories and regrets. It won't keep you warm at night. It won't make you feel whole. But love, spoken, expressed, offered freely, that stays. It becomes part of someone's story, and yours. And no, it's never too small to matter. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I get it. Some relationships are messy. Some wounds go deep. But let's be clear. Silence doesn't heal. Distance doesn't create closure. And time doesn't fix everything. Sometimes you have to be the one to reach out, to make the call, to send the text, to show up, even if it's awkward, even if it's clumsy, even if it doesn't end the way you hope. At least then, you'll know you tried. I've seen strong, stoic men break down because they never said I'm sorry to their fathers before they passed. I've met women who carry guilt for decades because they never told their mothers how deeply they admired them. I've heard stories about best friends, inseparable once, who never found their way back to each other. And every one of them shares the same look when they talk about it. A quiet, heavy ache, not just from the loss, but from the silence. So don't wait for a funeral to tell someone what they meant to you. Don't let the final words be the ones you wish you could take back, or wish you'd said at all. Reach out, speak up, let people know they're loved, appreciated, valued, even if it's been years, even if you're unsure how they'll respond, because one day the chance to say it will be gone. And you'll find yourself wishing for just one more moment, one more chance to speak what's been living in your heart. Don't wait to say the things you'll wish you said. And while we're on the subject of hard truths, here's one that surprises a lot of people as they get older. No one really has it all figured out. We grow up believing that someone, maybe someone older, wiser, more successful, has the answers. We think there's a magical point in adulthood where everything clicks and you suddenly feel like a real grown-up who's got it all under control. But let me be honest with you, that moment never really comes. No one is ever fully ready for the curveballs life throws at them. Not even the people who seem like they have it all together, not even close. When you're young, you look at adults, their steady jobs, their families, their homes, and assume they must know exactly what they're doing. But here's the truth. Most of them, most of us, are just figuring it out as we go. We're learning on the move. We're making it up along the way. And in the next part, we'll explore exactly that. What it means to keep going without a clear roadmap, and how to live courageously, honestly, and fully, even when you're still finding your way. So as we just talked about, most of us are figuring it out as we go. Here's the part we don't say out loud enough. That's completely okay. Sure, with time we gain experience, we pick up some lessons here and there, but no one really knows what's coming next. We're all just doing the best we can with the cards we've been dealt, and sometimes that means stumbling through the unknown with shaky hands and an unsure heart. But here's the trap so many of us fall into. We keep waiting to feel ready. We wait for that magical moment, some imaginary future where we finally feel prepared enough to take the leap. We tell ourselves, when I've learned a little more, when I feel more mature, when I'm sure I can handle it. But here's the truth that catches everyone off guard. That moment never comes. You'll never feel 100% ready. You'll never reach a place where everything lines up perfectly and the path ahead is crystal clear. And if you keep waiting for that moment, you'll keep postponing the things that truly matter. You know the most successful people I've ever met. They didn't get where they are because they had it all figured out from the start. Nope. They took the first step without knowing what was ahead. They moved even when they felt unprepared. They acted without having the perfect plan. And because they started, they learned, they adapted, they grew, step by imperfect step. And this isn't just about your career or major life choices. It's about everything. Your relationships, your goals, your healing, your creativity. We hold ourselves back from so much because we think we're not ready. We think we need more knowledge, more experience, more confidence. But in chasing ready, we end up choosing later. And as we've already said, later isn't guaranteed. Perfectionism becomes the trap. That little voice in your head says, you can't start until you have it all figured out. But that's a lie. The only way to figure it out is to start. You learn by doing. You grow through trying, and sometimes you fail. And that's where the real lessons come from. I've watched so many people put their dreams on hold, beautiful, bold dreams, because they thought they weren't qualified yet, that they weren't enough. But let me be clear, you will never feel fully qualified. You will never know everything. And you know what? That's not only okay, it's normal. The people you admire most didn't start out with superpowers. They started out just like you, uncertain, afraid, full of questions. They made mistakes. They second-guessed themselves. They had nights where they didn't sleep, wondering if they were doing the right thing. And if you look closely, you'll see they're still figuring it out too. They just learned how to move forward anyway. So if you've been sitting still, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of yourself to show up, let this be your reminder. You don't need perfect. You just need to begin. So as we said before, you don't need to be perfect to begin. You just need to start. And here's why that matters now more than ever. Life is a process, a winding, unpredictable, sometimes chaotic process. And none of us are handed a crystal clear map that tells us exactly which way to go or what steps to take. There's no built-in GPS for life. We're all out here doing the best we can, making choices, taking risks, and hoping we're heading in the right direction. Sometimes we have to make decisions blindly. Sometimes we only have half the information, or less. But we still move, because staying stuck, waiting endlessly in life's waiting room, isn't living, it's just existing. So if you're sitting here today thinking, I'll wait until the timing is better, I'll wait until I have it all figured out, I'll wait until I feel totally ready, let me gently remind you, that moment, it's not coming. There's no magical day when you'll wake up feeling 100% prepared. There will always be doubt. You'll always have questions. You'll wonder, am I doing the right thing? Or what if I fail? And guess what? That's completely normal. It doesn't mean you're not ready. It doesn't mean you shouldn't move forward. It just means you're human, and you should take the step anyway. There's no single cinematic moment when everything suddenly clicks and life becomes easy. There's no scene where all your fears vanish and you ride off into the sunset with perfect clarity. What does happen is this. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to take action, even when you feel unsure. And you learn to get comfortable with not having all the answers. Because growth lives in the unknown. Magic, real magic, happens when you act anyway, even while you're trembling. We spend so much time chasing perfection, worrying about having the right plan, the right timing, the right skills. But let me tell you, the people who feel most alive, most fulfilled, they're the ones who got out of their own way. The ones who said, I don't know how this will turn out, but I'm going anyway. They didn't wait to become fearless. They didn't wait until they were flawless. They just moved. And in the moving, they built momentum. In the trying, they found growth. So if you're still waiting for that perfect green light, stop. Move anyway. Even if your hands are shaking, even if your voice cracks, even if you only know the first step, that's enough to begin. Because here's a truth that stings a little more as we grow older. It's not the things we tried and failed that haunt us most. It's the things we never tried. The chances we didn't take because we were scared. The moments we passed up, convinced a better time would come later. And that regret, it lingers. It shows up quietly, in the still moments. Not as shame, but as a quiet wondering of what could have been. So, as we just said, it's not failure that hurts the most. It's never trying at all. Let me tell you something real. Regret has a sting unlike any other. It's not sharp like failure. It's not loud like disappointment. No. Regret is quiet, subtle. It creeps in when things are still, and it stays. It's not the pain of falling that lingers. It's the ache of the leap you never took, the what-ifs that echo in the back of your mind, the missed chances, the untouched dreams, the risks you talked yourself out of because the timing didn't feel right. And here's the hard truth. There is no such thing as the perfect moment. Time doesn't pause for you to feel ready. It doesn't wait until the stars align. It just keeps moving, day by day, moment by moment. And before you know it, you're looking back. And suddenly, it's the chances you didn't take that hurt the most. We spend so much of our lives afraid of failing, afraid of being judged, afraid of rejection, afraid of looking foolish or falling short. And you know, what? That fear is normal, totally human. But the older you get, the more you realize something crucial. Failure isn't the enemy. It's part of the journey. It's one of your greatest teachers. It builds resilience. It exposes your blind spots. It shows you what doesn't work so you can move closer to what does. And every time you fail, you get a little stronger, a little braver. What really hurts, what stays with you longer than any failure, is the regret of not trying. It's the weight of wondering, what could have happened if I had just gone for it? What if I had said yes? What if I had been bold enough to try? And that weight is so much heavier than any loss or rejection. I've spoken to countless people, especially those in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And do you know what they tell me? Their biggest regrets aren't about the risks that didn't work out. It's not about the failed businesses, or the messy relationships, or the awkward moments. It's that they never tried. They didn't follow the passion that lit something inside them. They didn't step outside their comfort zone. They let fear, or the opinions of others, talk them out of chasing the life they really wanted. Some were afraid of the unknown. Some were paralyzed by the thought of being judged. Others convinced themselves they weren't ready, or worse, that they weren't good enough. But as time goes on, you learn. There's almost nothing more painful than a life full of what-ifs. What if I had started sooner? What if I hadn't let fear stop me? What if I'd believed in myself just once? Those what-ifs don't shout. They whisper. They follow you through the years like a shadow, showing up at quiet moments to remind you of the doors you never opened. And we spend so much of our early years believing there's always more time, more conversations, more chances to try again, more moments to make things right. So here's where it really lands. We think we have more time, more chances, but life doesn't hand out warnings. You don't get a notice for the last time you'll see someone. There's no official moment, labeled, "This is it." No perfect scene where you realize this will be the last hug, the last conversation, the last chance. It just happens. And what you're left with are the words that were said and the ones that weren't. As you get older, the truth starts to sharpen. You realize we don't control nearly as much as we thought. You can plan everything and still have it all go sideways. I've talked to people in their 70s, 80s, even 90s, and they all echo the same lesson. You never really know what's possible until you try. And you'll never truly know what you're capable of until you push yourself to find out. But fear, oh fear, it holds us back. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping into the unknown. So we wait. We wait for the perfect timing, the perfect confidence, the perfect plan. And while we wait, opportunities slip past like trains we never boarded. Some carry that moment with them for life, the one they let pass, a conversation that should have happened, a decision they should have made, a leap they should have taken. They look back with a quiet ache, not for the things they did, but for the things they never dared to do. We hold grudges. We put off apologies. We assume people know how we feel. We think there's time to circle back, but life shifts fast. And sometimes you don't get the chance to say, "I love you," again, or to say, "I forgive you." So let me tell you plainly, don't wait. Don't hold in the words sitting heavy on your heart. Don't wait to forgive someone, even if they don't deserve it, because their absence could leave a silence too wide to fill. See, we often overthink. We analyze every possible outcome. We weigh the risks. We play out every scenario in our heads. But here's what that kind of thinking masks. It's not the failure that haunts us. It's the paralysis, the staying stuck. The chances not taken because we were too busy imagining everything that could go wrong. And sure, sometimes life pulls people in different directions. Old friends drift. Family members grow distant. Relationships evolve or fade. But the real grief, it's not just in the people who are gone. It's in the ones who are still alive, but no longer present. And when you realize that gap exists because you didn't reach across it, that's a sting that stays. We don't talk enough about that kind of loss. The slow, quiet kind that creeps in when we let the distance grow without ever trying to close it. Yes, there may be setbacks. Yes, it may be uncomfortable. But ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if you take the chance? You might fail. You might fall short. You might not get the answer you hoped for. But what if the worst thing is never knowing? So, as we just talked about, what if the real risk isn't failure, but regret? Because even in failure, you gain something. A lesson, a truth, a piece of yourself you didn't know existed. Let me say this clearly. Even when things don't go as planned, you grow, you learn, you discover who you are, and that's worth everything. Right now, I want you to pause and think about someone. Maybe someone in your life right now. Maybe someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. Someone you miss. Someone you might need to make peace with. Someone who deserves to hear something you've been holding in. Isn't it better to look back one day and say, I gave it everything I had, than to sit with that quiet ache of, what if I had reached out first? It's the road not taken that lingers. It's the conversation you didn't have, the apology never spoken, the dream you let go untouched. And let me tell you this, pride, ego, fear, they won't keep you warm at night. They won't bring you peace when you're sitting alone with your memories. They won't make you feel whole. But love, expressed love, that stays. That becomes part of your story and theirs. And here's the good news. It's never too late. It's never too late to make the first move, to pick up the phone, to send the message, to chase that dream that's been waiting in the background of your heart. Sure, it's not always easy. Some relationships are complicated. Some wounds run deep. But silence is not healing. Distance is not always closure. And time doesn't always fix what's left unresolved. At the end of the day, you won't regret the moments you were brave enough to try. You'll regret the ones you let pass, the opportunities that showed up quietly and slipped away while you were waiting for everything to feel right. So take the leap, even if it's messy, even if it doesn't go the way you hope. At least you'll know you tried, and that's something you can live with. Don't let the what-ifs follow you around like a shadow. I've seen strong men break down because they never said, I'm sorry, to their fathers. I've seen women live with decades of regret because they never told their mothers how much they admired them. I've heard stories of best friends who lost touch and never found their way back. And when they speak of it, they all carry the same quiet look in their eyes. Not just sadness, but a heaviness for what could have been. And here's something else I've learned from talking to people far older than me. The biggest regrets, they aren't about careers or money. They're about not taking care of the people they loved or themselves. We take so much for granted, our health, our energy, our bodies. When you're young, you feel invincible. You stay up all night, eat whatever you want, run on minimal sleep, and somehow still feel like you're on top of the world. But over time, something starts to shift. Maybe it's subtle at first. You don't bounce back as fast. You feel a little slower, a little more tired. And then you realize, this body you're in, it's not indestructible. So once you start realizing your body isn't indestructible, another truth hits you. You only get one body to carry you through this life, and it remembers everything. Growing up, we look at adults and think they've got it all together. The steady jobs, the homes, the routines, the certainty. They seem so composed, like they know exactly what they're doing. But the truth is, most of them are still figuring it out, just like the rest of us. They're doing their best with what life throws at them. They've made mistakes, ignored warnings, pushed their limits, and many of them carry silent regrets. I've heard people say things like, I wish I had taken better care of myself. I wish I had listened to my doctor sooner. I wish I had started paying attention before it was too late. Because by the time you want to rewind, the damage is often already done. We grow up thinking we'll get around to it eventually. I'll eat better, later. I'll work out next week. I'll slow down after this busy season. But here's the thing, that later never really comes. We wait for that magical moment when we feel motivated, when life gets easier, when we're ready. But your body, it doesn't wait. It remembers every all-nighter, every ignored symptom, every skipped meal and stress-filled day, every processed meal you grabbed on autopilot, and every moment you told yourself, I'll rest tomorrow. And here's the harsh reality. You only start to feel the consequences after the damage is done. See, your body is smarter than you think. It keeps score, quietly, patiently, without judgment. But eventually, it speaks up, loudly. And when your health starts to go downhill, suddenly nothing else matters. Not the money, not the job, not the recognition. Because if your body can't carry you forward, what's left to enjoy? You can't fully live life if you're constantly running on empty. So many of us get caught in the grind, chasing success, proving ourselves, trying to be productive every hour of every day. And in that hustle, we forget the one thing we can't replace, our health. We think we're buying time by putting it off, but in reality, we're borrowing it from a future version of ourselves who will pay the price. And sure, it's not always about big decisions. It's about the little ones, the late nights, the just one more coffee, the skipped checkups, the stress we normalize until burnout feels like the baseline. And all the while, we assume we'll bounce back, like we always have. But eventually, your body whispers, not this time. So what do we do with that realization? So now that we've seen how easy it is to overlook our health until it's too late, let's talk about what it means to start showing up for your body right now. We need to stop waiting. Stop telling ourselves we'll get to it soon. Because the truth is, your body is asking for your attention today, not someday. You don't need a perfect routine. You don't need to become a health expert overnight. You just need to start choosing better, little by little. It's not about punishing yourself with extreme diets or 5 a.m. workouts. It's about getting enough sleep, moving your body in a way that feels good, drinking more water, swapping one fast food meal for something that actually nourishes you. And it's about understanding the simple truth. You'll probably never feel fully qualified. You'll never wake up one day magically feeling like you've got it all together. And that's okay. The people you admire, the ones who seem to be doing it right, they didn't start there. They didn't have it figured out either. They made mistakes. They skipped workouts. They stayed up too late. They reached for junk food when they were stressed. They're human, just like you. But what they did do was start. They made one small decision at a time, and over time, those decisions added up. It's not about perfection. It's not about having a perfect body or hitting some fitness goal. It's about something far more important, respecting yourself enough to take care of the only body you've got. That might look like choosing stairs over the elevator. It might mean putting your phone down and taking a walk outside. It could be stretching for 5 minutes in the morning, or simply drinking water before reaching for your second coffee. These little moments, these seemingly insignificant choices, they add up. They are investments, and over time, they pay off. And let's not forget, your physical and mental health are deeply connected. Stress, anxiety, depression, they don't just affect your thoughts, they impact your body, your energy, your sleep, your immune system. So when we talk about taking care of ourselves, we're not just talking about muscles or cardio. We're talking about wholeness, about balance, about treating your mind and body like they're on the same team, because they are. Life is a process. No one gets a perfect roadmap that says, go here, do this, everything will be fine. We're all navigating with incomplete information, learning as we go. But one thing becomes clearer the older we get. Time doesn't slow down. And if we keep waiting for that perfect moment to finally take our health seriously, we'll wait too long. So don't wait until your body forces you to pay attention. Don't wait until your energy crashes or your doctor delivers a wake-up call. Start now. Start small. Start imperfectly. Because your health is the foundation for everything else in your life. Your relationships, your goals, your joy. So if your health is the foundation, here's the next truth. Without it, everything else becomes harder, more complicated, more fragile, more exhausting. As we move through life, one thing becomes clearer with every passing year. It's not the grind, not the titles, not the money, not the applause. It's how you feel, how you connect, how you handle uncertainty when there are no clear answers. We spend so much of our lives chasing the wrong markers of success, trying to look perfect, trying to always have the answers, trying to climb higher, collect titles, hit milestones. But here's what you learn, especially as you grow older. That's not where the fulfillment lives. True meaning, deep contentment, doesn't come from how high you climb or how many people know your name. It comes from something quieter, more honest. Who stood beside you when things got hard? Who truly knew you and stayed? Who did you love deeply and who loved you in return? Some of the most fulfilled people I've met didn't get there because they had all the answers. They got there because they showed up. They took the leap, even when they weren't sure where they'd land. They stopped trying to impress everyone and started focusing on connection. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for the job title, the perfect relationship, the financial milestone to feel worthy. Because when you get to the end of your life, and I say this gently, those things will not be what you remember most. You'll remember the people, the conversations that mattered, the laughter, the forgiveness, the late night talks, the quiet comfort of knowing someone truly got you. And if you don't have everything figured out right now, that's perfectly fine. Most people don't. You grow by showing up anyway. You build meaning not through perfection, but through presence. There's something that hits harder the older you get. It's the realization that life is not just about the places you've been or the things you've done. It's also about what you didn't do, the chances you didn't take, the conversations you never had, the relationships that slipped away, friends, family, even colleagues, because you assumed there would always be time. But time keeps moving. And suddenly, you're looking back, wondering if the things you thought were important really were. Because no amount of money, no stack of achievements can replace the feeling of having someone by your side who genuinely cares. And those what ifs, they don't come from trying and failing. They come from never trying at all. From putting off your dreams because you thought a perfect moment would eventually arrive. Spoiler alert, that perfect moment doesn't come. The older you get, the more you realize it's not about the stuff. It's not about the resume. It's about connection, about people, about love and vulnerability and presence. So pause for a second and think, who are the people that bring real meaning to your life? The ones who challenge you, support you, see you, even when you're not at your best. Because when that final moment comes, when you're lying in your hospital bed or taking your last breath, you won't be thinking about your bank account or your follower count.